Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Professor Lorenzo McCoy of KnowThyselfUniversity.net video coursework. Once again, we're here not for the usual health and wellness news, making money online news, or how to learn a foreign language in a very rapid way news. This one, once again, we're brought here to talk about another senseless killing by the police against a black victim. Now, I stopped talking about these things for a while because, I really don't like talking about negative stuff, to be honest. Nevertheless, I know people gravitate toward negativity. There's more good things going on in the black community, the so-called Hispanic community, the Native American community, and even in the white community, the Asian community, the Samoan community, all people communities. Nevertheless, this is one that usually brings out a lot of energy for people on whatever opposing side they might be on. For those in the black community who are outraged, it brings out a lot of emotion. For those in the black community who feel like, they most likely got what they deserved, I'm tired of talking about it. The interesting thing, people uniting for and against the slogan Black Lives Matter, and I've made a video about this before, it shows you that for most people, black lives really don't matter. And for a lot of black folks who hear that, they feel like their counterparts, their friends who are not a part of the black community genetically, feel like it puts them in a position to have to, detract from that particular moniker, from that particular mantra, Black Lives Matter, and say, no, all lives matter. Why do we have to say Black Lives Matter? Because it really makes them have to confront very realistic things that are going on in the present and in the past of the black community. And people, it's very hurtful for them to deal with, and a lot of them feel like it might mess up their position in life, be it a job, or they might be in a relationship with somebody from another socioeconomic and race background. That being the case, there's so many different issues involved that I have to take on these particular news segments. I don't like it, but it is an opportunity for us to talk about certain things. Me being a father of a 14-year-old, it reminds me of a Tamir Rice, and I don't want him to go out like that. And for me to be able to support the memory of Tamir Rice and many other black males, but Tamir Rice in particular, because of his age and because he was a child playing with a fake gun. We have to talk about the view and the minds of non-blacks when it comes to black people. That's really what we're talking about when we talk about these cases. We're talking about when a policeman comes on the scene. Let's take out that title. When a white male comes up on the scene, he sees something different than even a black cop would see. That's why the term cop really doesn't matter. He's a white man whose job it is to protect his own people. Now, of course, there's a lot of white folks you can see videos of, and I watch them and I share them, when they're dancing with the youth, playing basketball, the youth fully clothed in their uniform. Those are the policemen that we would like to thank and congratulate, because when they come to our community, they respect the people they're serving. And they haven't forgotten that they are serving the community, be they working in their own community or they're driving across the tracks across town to serve another community. Nevertheless, they are there to serve. It seems like the black cops don't forget that. They might forget it when they're in their own neighborhood. But when they go to a white neighborhood, they are reminded that they are there to serve that community, because they will not be allowed to strong arm that community. So that being the case, what's going on in particular in the black community where it feels like the people that are supposed to be serving and protecting that community forget that. And the reason why we keep talking about this and why people say, this is one cop, this is one too many cops, and it is not one cop, because there's not enough good cops that we can see. I saw a few, but it is very far in between where you can find a video of a fellow officer coming out against other officers saying that man's a murderer. Number one, he's going to lose his job. So that means we're going deeper than, see, that's when we start getting into what racism is all about. That's a racist comment. No, I'm not racist, because my YouTube channel could be taken at any time. I could be dragged off to jail. They can say, sucker, ain't you on probation for checking out books out of the library and selling them online? You are a criminal. And you are sitting up here talking about the good police like that. I've met a lot of great police, but I've also met a lot of dirty cops too, who wanted to beat me up for no reason, just from looking at me. And I can document this just from looking at me and saying, what's his deal over there? I just beat some N-words ass, and he looks like a good target. Now, this is me. I was once again behind bars. I didn't take care of a ticket. I'm in there with drug dealers, drug addicts, thieves, and all of that. They don't care. And there was another time I had a rental car. I think this particular time, and this was Ferguson, Missouri. I turned the rental car in too late. And I was sitting there, and they said, you got to stay and wait for the investigators. And I was like, Grand Theft Auto? What the hell? Are you crazy? I'm stealing cars now? So I'm sitting in there, it's routine driving around black traffic stop, what I'm saying? Excuse me, sir, I'm just looking, I think they said my license plate wasn't on the car. I just bought it, and I bought it like that from the car lot, not from a person. I got it off the car lot that way. And I noticed that when they gave me my license plate, the reason why it wasn't on there, I saw why it wasn't on there. They didn't have a spot on the front to put it. I would have to go buy one or something. So I just had it in the car. So I got pulled over for that. And that's when they were like, there's an outstanding warrant for you for Grand Theft Auto. And I was like, what? And they kept telling me that area. And I was like, that's that car rental place. If you're a day late, turn the car back in. I rented this car for like 3 months, and I paid every single week, and they were closed on the weekend. Weird, but it was a private owned company or whatever. Turn the car back in, of course, and let them know, we've been dealing with each other for so long. Give me a call and let me know how much else I owe. Nobody returned my call or whatever. I'm not going to chase you down. They just leaves it on there that car never turned back in or something. Oh, the investigators want to talk to you. I'm sitting in there, people coming in and out, in and out, in and out. About 2 o'clock in the morning, this motorcycle cop comes in with gloves on, talking about how he just beat 2 N-words, and he's ready and hyped up, and he's ready for some more. Now, I'm standing there at attention because I'm mad that I'm there, and I'm mad that I keep seeing people come in and out that are really doing crimes. And for me, we can't even deal with you, sir. It looks like it probably is a problem. And because once I finally figured out after all those hours, check and see if it's a rental car that I turned in. All you got to do is call the place, Oh, yeah, that does look like it, because I know it looks strange. It's saying Grand Theft, but it's saying nothing was stolen and all this. People coming in and out. You know how it is. Well, a lot of people don't know how it is, but the people who know the story, they know it's bull crap. The officers that come in late at night don't know. You're just another N-word behind bars. So this one cop comes in, stares me up and down, and he sees how I'm looking at him. Because I heard him saying the N-word, and I'm standing at attention with my hands behind my back looking at him through the bars. I'm not sitting down. I don't feel like eating the crappy food, the fake Kool-Aids and cold hot dogs and stuff. I'm ready to go home. So I'm standing at attention, hands behind my back, just staring him down. And that's when he's chewing tobacco, spitting in his cup. What's his deal over there? And so, oh no, I just walked in. He keeps asking to use the phone, but he gonna have to wait. I'm waiting for hours because they don't know what I'm in there for. I didn't even bother to check. And he said, I would love to, for y'all to open them boards up and let me go up in there. And I said, I would love for you to come in here too. He spits his tobacco again. Now I'm giving you this little impromptu soliloquy about, before we even get into this, because I'm showing you, man, this stuff is real. A lot of us, we go through it all the time. You don't have to be a super criminal to have to go through these things. And unfortunately, a lot of us lose our lives. But nevertheless, one of the cops wanted to let them in there with me. I can tell they were doing some research trying to find out why I was in there to get a good excuse. And at a certain point, I started stretching. I was a martial artist, very active at this time. He saw me stretching, doing different katas, and I was getting my Muay Thai on. I was ready. I was stretching, did a couple push-ups and stuff. And they saw me, doing some moves on the camera. One guy comes in and he said, I recognize those moves. I was in the military in Malaysia. And I was telling him, well, I'm trained with a brother. He's a master of this stuff. He goes all over doing this stuff. I was speaking of Jermaine Andre. But I was like myself, I just grew up doing martial arts in a lot of different places. I had many masters, but it's just something that I do. And I heard and I used the cracker word. I said, I heard that cracker say he wanted to come in and beat my ass. So I'm going to make sure it's going to be the best ass whooping episode he ever had in his life. He'll never want to watch that show again. And he was like, okay. He left out a couple more hours later. It's like about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Now 5 o'clock in the morning. It's still very dark. Now I knew nobody was coming to get me because I didn't call anybody. There's nobody to call. I wasn't married at the time, so there was no wife. And I'm not calling my parents to come from East St. Louis to St. Louis, come get me out of jail for some dumb stuff. Didn't know where I was. I just knew I was somewhere in St. Louis. Guy comes out, everybody, it's the American Negroes in there, and N-words were in there too. I'm the only black man up in there, for those who catch my drift. He talking about all this nonsense, porqueria. And that same cop that was asking me about those moves and where did I train and all that type of stuff. Not the one that said he wanted to beat my ass, but the other guy who was watching me and studying different things I was doing, the way I stood at attention like I was in the military. And everything was yes sir, man. I used the phone and all that type of stuff. And they're like, no, prisoner. I didn't like to talk to you. No, we ain't even in prison. No, prisoner. I'm like, all right. He came out and said, you've been bailed out. Now, how did I get bailed out? I didn't call anybody. Don't have a lawyer in my pocket, the call that automatically gets called for whatever reason. There was no girlfriend. Let me get my baby out. Nobody was coming. So when he said that, and everybody's like, hey, dog, you gonna eat your whatever bull crap they have for you? I said, man, y'all can have it. He was like, get your pillow, get your mattress. You're supposed to take your pillow and mattress and go drop them on this pile. We walking down this long hallway. He's way ahead of me. And I was like, you said I was bailed out? He said, yeah, your people are here for you. That's a damn lie. There's no people coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even from there. So I was like, oh, we're about to get this thing on. He was walking out. He opens up this door, and I could just see the night sky. I didn't know what time it was, but I could tell it was very dark still. And I see him say, come on out. And as I was walking down the hall, he said, nobody came to bail you out. And I was like, I know that I didn't call anybody. There's nobody coming. I was waiting for 10 cops to be outside. He said, I bailed you out. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, let's get this thing rolling. I'm waiting for that racist cop to be out there. But I got outside. There's nobody out there. And he said, I was watching you. You carry yourself well. And he said, to be honest, I can't get over the other guy's over me. But he wanted to beat your ass just because the way you look different from everybody up in here. And it just made him incensed. I had to send him somewhere far away, he had on a fake call because he wanted to kill you. Now this is from a cop. He let me go. And I happily walked up out of there. And that's when I noticed my surroundings. Okay, I'm way out away from. I was in a dorm room. You know, I was on the campus of Umsel or something at that time, years ago. But I told you that story. It's two different type of cops. Before I get into this, just to let you know why a lot of us are so adamant about talking about these subjects. Yes, there are a lot of good cops out there. But if you really listen to that story, I want you to understand how that could have gone a couple of different ways. What if the cop that let me out obviously has some type of clout, because a regular cop can't just let you out and do the paperwork and give you all your property back and stuff and say, I bailed you out and tear up the paperwork or whatever. He just told me, go ahead and get that stuff taken care of. I was there for days anyway, because the people, they said the detectives never showed up. I was in there for a week. Criminals coming in and out. Oh man, they can only hold you 48 hours. You know how criminals are. They like lawyers. They've been through it so much. Oh man, they gonna hold you about this much time. They gonna let you go. Man, if you got this much money, you know, what you ever for? What? Oh man, they gonna let you go. They were wrong this time. I was in there for a whole week, because every new person that came on duty was like, oh, it says here you're waiting. The detectives got to talk to you. You know, detective showed up for no bull crap, because there was nothing happening. I was just a victim of the freaking system. A routine driving while black traffic stop, threw my ass in jail because of something that some computer said that they could have checked immediately and found out was a lie. Or somebody's mess up in some office that could have cost me my life, because cracker wants to come in. I'm gonna call him a cracker because he doesn't get the designation of a good human being. So he's not gonna even get the European title. He's not gonna get a white guy title. He was a dirty ass cracker, crooked cop. Quote me on that. And in his words, we're all N-words. And you know what that is. Rhymes with figure. But this other cop let me go. He saw that I wasn't that type of dude, but it still makes you think, even that good cop, if I would have been a tatted up, maybe so-called dreaded hair, lock type of guy, talking, you know, yeah, my neck, you know, whatever, would he let that other cop just do whatever he's gonna do? Would he let me sit there and rot until just nobody ever showed up? I don't know, because the reason that he gave me was because he saw my demeanor. A lot of us aren't that lucky. Now, going into this story now, I know that was a long backdrop, but I have to get out here. I don't give a damn about your views on YouTube. I am getting back into this thing because I promise a lot of my people who want to hear me speak about different issues that I would get back into doing the news, because we talk a lot outside of the computer, and there's a lot of other people who might get something out of my point of view without the studio and the expensive cameras and all of those type of things. I can make it look nice and pretty, but I wouldn't get anything out but once a week. I want to put something out every single day, and when the news happens. I'm on CNN's website. Today is July 7th, 2016. Headline: Alton Sterling shooting. Homeless man made 911 call, sources say. Now, you know you're in the Matrix. You know you're in America when homeless people got cell phones and getting you killed, getting you set up for murder. I'm going to read the rest and we'll go into the video. It's very self-explanatory, but there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A homeless man made the 911 call that brought police to the convenience store where Alton Sterling was shot dead. A source with knowledge of the investigation told CNN on Thursday. Sterling was selling CDs early Tuesday outside the Triple S Food Mart in Baton Rouge. The source said when the homeless man approached him and asked for money. The man was persistent, and Sterling showed him his gun, the source said. "I told you to leave me alone," Sterling told the man, according to the source. The homeless man then used his cell phone to call 911, the source said. The details about the 911 call shed new light on the Baton Rouge police high-profile fatal shooting of Sterling, a 37-year-old black man. Okay, now he said, "I told you to leave me alone." A graphic cell phone video of the shooting was shared widely on social media, quickly sparking local protests and drawing national attention. Federal authorities have taken charge of the investigation. Sterling was shot outside the Baton Rouge convenience store after an encounter with two police officers. The officers can be seen in the video on top of him before shots were fired. Vigils and memorials have spread across the country in reaction to the deadly shooting. Local civic leaders and Sterling's loved ones have promised to find out what happened. Quote, "I, for one, will not rest," Quinetta McMillan, the mother of one of Sterling's children, said Wednesday, "and will not allow y'all to sweep him in the dirt." The 15-year-old son of her and Sterling stood by his mother's side sobbing. The U.S. Justice Department Civil Rights Division is leading an investigation into what happened. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Baton Rouge, the FBI, and state police will be involved in the investigation, Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards said. Edwards dismissed any questioning of Louisiana's decision to hand over the investigation to the Justice Department. "We're not abdicating anything," the governor said Thursday, adding that "we're making the best decisions to make sure that the situation remains under control here in Baton Rouge, and we don't experience any more upheaval in our communities here in Baton Rouge and around Louisiana." One of the crucial next steps will be to determine what happened before the confrontation ensued Tuesday. Authorities said the officers were responding to the 911 report of a man with a gun. A source close to the investigation told CNN the 911 caller said Sterling was brandishing a gun. That's in quotes. A law enforcement source with knowledge of the investigation told CNN that the officers pulled a gun from Sterling's body at the scene. No further details were provided on the type of firearm. Abdullah Muflahi, the owner of the Triple S Food Mart, told CNN he wasn't aware of any incident Tuesday that would have spurred such a call. But he's sure the shooting was caught on his store's surveillance cameras. Though he hasn't seen it, the police took it later Tuesday, he told CNN. There is also police body camera footage of the shooting, even though the cameras were dislodged. Baton Rouge Police Lieutenant Johnny Dunham told reporters Wednesday. "The cameras continue to record," he added. A law enforcement source told CNN that the cameras fell off during the scuffle. Investigators said they'll review multiple videos of the shooting and that they're canvassing for witnesses. Authorities haven't said what the police videos or other surveillance footage of the scene show, including the lead up to what the public has already seen or the possible weapon brandishing incident. The source involved in the investigation told CNN that the other videos are not nearly as clear as the bystander videos. Together, Baton Rouge, which is a community group, held a press conference Thursday applauding the Justice Department for jumping on the investigation and urging the probe to be as broad as possible. Reverend Lee Wesley, pastor of the Community Bible Baptist Church, and another community leader, Edgar Cage of the Episcopal Diocese of Louisiana, said that they hope that any investigation goes beyond just focusing on possible civil rights violations and explores other facets, including systemic problems on the local police force. Attorneys for McMillan, the mother of Sterling's son, are demanding transparency. "Our primary mission is to provide the grieving family with the answers they are seeking regarding the senseless shooting death of Alton Sterling. Thanks to multiple videos that captured the horrific incident, we know far more than we typically would, but many questions still remain," attorneys L. Chris Stewart and Justin Bamberg said in a statement. The two said they have handed over high-profile tragedies at the hands of law enforcement. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of the vast majority of members of the law enforcement, but when they fail to follow their extensive training and unnecessary take a life, they must be held accountable. No police officer should be above the law. And we're going to talk about training in a second. Two videos appear, and we're going to go into those. There are two videos that have publicly surfaced showing Sterling's killing. The one that catapults the case into the national spotlight Tuesday, and a second shorter video of higher quality recorded closer to the shooting. The first video was posted online Tuesday night. It begins with the camera facing the car dashboard as the three men stand near the vehicle. A single pop is heard, then someone yells, "Get on the ground." We're going to talk about that. An officer pulls Sterling over the hood of a silver car and pins him to the ground. And that's out of context, because we're going to see it. I want y'all to remember this, though. I want you to remember, we're going to talk about the training, the extensive training that we're talking about. Because I for one, think that that's why you're seeing the shootings. It is from their training. They're trained to keep pulling the trigger until that person is down. And then if you really want to get into it, it's not like back in the day where you see a white guy with a mask on his face. That's the bad guy. And when things pop up, they're shooting at black people in dreads and do-rags and things like that. You can look that up yourself or ask different cops. They're trying to make it more realistic, which makes sense when you're training a soldier. He has to shoot and get trained in his mind who the enemy is and who the person he's supposed to be protecting. So when they're shooting targets, it is their training coming back up. You know what I'm saying? They're not shooting ghosts and white guy pictures like they used to, with the little mask on, with the bag of money. You do it like this, ha! And then you don't shoot that person. Then a woman comes up with a child. One other pops up, a woman with a baby carriage, and the guy in the suit. Then a guy in the mask, you shoot that one. No, they shooting at Tyrone these days. Going back to that one, I read again. The first video posted online begins with a camera facing the car dashboard as three men stand near the vehicle. A single pop is heard. Then someone yells, "Get on the ground." That's a lie. We're going to hear pop, pop, pop. Then you hear somebody say, "Get on the ground." An officer pulls Sterling over the hood of a car and pins him to the ground. They got it all out of sequence. Once he's down, the officer begins to assist a second officer in restraining him. Whoever wrote this is purposely writing it out of context. Yelling ensues, though it's hard to make out what's being said. That's why I want you to really follow this and see what they do when they're creating a story and retraining you, people who haven't even seen the video. They're retraining you to see a certain side already, where you think they're just reporting the news. Those of us who already saw the video, and I just watched it a couple minutes ago myself, that's not what happened. Yelling ensues. So they're making it seem like he was shot first and then told to get on the ground, and they're trying to wrestle him to the ground, meaning he was shot. So that puts in your mind, he must have been going crazy. Witnesses inside the car shout and swear. 3 more bangs go off. I don't even hear anybody shouting in the car. So that makes you think this is a crazy environment. They're shouting and swearing. Then there's 3 more bangs go off. A woman in the car starts crying. The second video shows Sterling already on the ground, on his back. One officer kneeling to Sterling's left. And what they could have been referring to is a pop from a taser, even though we never see that whole altercation as it's going, because that would give you more information on what was going on before he was shot. The second video shows Sterling already on the ground, on his back. One officer's kneeling. It's still showing a lie, because after the first pop and then he said, "Get on the ground," he's already been shot. The second video, one officer's kneeling on Sterling's left. That's true. The other officer appears to be straddling Sterling's legs. Sterling can be seen from the chest up, where his lower legs are also visible. His left arm and hands are not visible. That's a lie. The right arm is by his side. So whoever's writing it, they got it mixed up. You can see his left arm is under the one cop's knee and can't move. He just has his hand up like that. He can't move it. After gunshots are heard, the camera pans to the right, then back on Sterling, who has a large blood stain on his chest. The officer who was on his legs now lies on the pavement above Sterling's head, his gun pointed. And actually, I think that's like, because that's the guy I think who rolled over on top of him after he was shot the first time. But see, even in this, whoever actually saw this video couldn't have written this. Somebody who wrote this is trying to scramble up what happens, because as it said, the second video shows him already on the ground on his back. One officer kneeling on shoulders left, Sterling's left, but now he's actually on his arm and you can easily see it. The other officer appears to be straddling his legs. He can be seen from the chest up, lower legs also visible. His left arm and hands are not visible. That's a lie, because you can see his left arm pinned and his right arm is by his side. After gunshots are heard, the camera pans to the right, then back to Sterling, who has a large blood stain on his chest. What they didn't say was there was 3 shots. He was already on the ground. They didn't say that. Then the guy says, "Get on the ground." He was obviously already on the ground, which if you saw that video and you're writing this, you would have to put that in there, which lets me know this is a propaganda piece just for this part. Now, this is for people who probably don't see the video yet. That's why whoever wrote this must be before a video was even put up. But they obviously saw the video because they're telling you what they saw on it. But they mixed it all up for you. Okay. The officer radios for an ambulance as Sterling moves his left arm toward his face and then his chest. Yeah, he was shot in the front and the back. The other officer appears to remove something from one of Sterling's right pockets. Yeah, and you can't tell what it is. It could be a gun, like it's something, it could be pointed. And if it is a gun, it's probably no more than that big, maybe 4 inches, and it's very thin. If it is a real gun, it's too small to be a Glock 9 or anything like that. Whatever it was either was a cell phone, a toy, some keys, or something. But I would love to know what type of gun it was, and it better represent what we saw in that video. Because when he picked it up, you can barely tell what it was. Says Sterling was armed. Baton Rouge Police Chief Carl Dabadis Jr. said Sterling was armed at the time he was killed. And one witness said the officer removed the gun from Sterling's pocket. The officers involved in Tuesday's shooting are Blaine Salamoni and Howie Lake II. They've been placed on administrative leave. A source close to the investigation told CNN the officers were removed Tuesday night. Now they talk about the tensions running high and all of this. Let's go back to Sterling. The CD Man. Sterling was known as the CD Man, a laid-back guy who would sell tunes and DVDs outside the convenience store where he was shot, according to local media. Quote, Alton was a respected man. He was beloved in the community. He did not deserve the treatment and this excessive force that was exerted on him by the police department. Jordan, the Sterling family attorney, told CNN. Muflahi, the store owner, said he'd known Sterling for 6 years and never saw a confrontation between Sterling and anyone. Sterling never got into fights, he said. Just 5 minutes before the shooting, Muflahi said, he walked into the store getting something to drink, joking around, and we were calling each other names. Then here's a black officer live in 2 words. Oh, no, that's a link to something else. Sterling had earlier encounters with law enforcement. Of course, they got to put that up. So they did some, they go do some digging because they got to say, okay, it's another Negro gone bad. And this is what they got him on. In 2009, he was charged with carrying a weapon, and it has a firearm, while in possession, letting you know it's not a sword, it's a gun like today. So in 2009, he was charged with carrying a weapon, not a hammer or anything, a firearm. Guys, they want to put that in your head because they got it in parentheses. While in possession of a controlled substance, in parentheses, marijuana. He pleaded guilty 2 years later and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So he must have been, maybe he was already on papers, as they say. He already had other stuff going on. I don't know. If he could hurt somebody, kill somebody, rob somebody, it would be here. You know what I'm saying? Something's going on, but it must have been so petty that not saying it's petty, because he could have been if you're on probation or something and you got a firearm, that's illegal. Then he probably had marijuana on him too, and then he pleaded guilty 2 years later. So there must have been a case going on and on and on. And finally he pled guilty and was sentenced to 5 years in prison with credit for time served and a recommendation of work release and a drug treatment. So he probably was smoking that weed, couldn't get off that weed like a lot of folks they got him hooked on. Still free will. We gotta kick different habits. There's no evidence the officers who responded to the convenience store early Tuesday were aware of this criminal history. Why is it in there then? It's to smear his image. Now, let's go back. Once again, I don't know him. I don't know the situation. But from what I can see, once again, somebody who shouldn't have been shot. Now we're going to go to this where it says the following report contains graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised. We're going to play. There's no need for me to show you somebody getting killed, but we're going to listen to the incident and talk about it. He said, what the F? And it sounded like he said, I can't breathe no more. That's what it sounded like. I'm going to play it again. I'm just curious. I'm not going to keep pausing and stuff, but we're here to study. Let's see what that again. They got him on his back. The one guy has his left arm pinned down with his knee. The one who shot him and killed him. What the F? I can't breathe no more. He's got a gun. He's got a gun. Don't you move, I swear to God. Now they cut off of that for some reason and go back to show them wrestling him down to the ground. They responded to a 911 call reporting a man with a gun outside a convenience store. They got him, smashed his face down. Now back to the video, shooting him right in his chest. And you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, the one who probably shot him was the cop on the left closest to the car. I'm just looking at it again. One said, got a gun. Now, of course, as whatever they pulled out of his pocket, it was something in his pocket that he wasn't even grabbing for, from what we can tell. Smashing his face down again. That's from one camera angle. Then they don't show us what else is going on, which would show us the shot. Now that I think about it, they go back to that over the shot where you can't really see who's shooting them, but you see the cops on top of them. Camera goes off to the side. Now you're talking about shots fired. Now they said get down on the ground when he was already on the ground. That's something I want to talk about. Now, of course, he's sitting there, his life passing away. There's so many places you can go online and see it. I don't really believe in showing people losing their life. I don't like looking at it myself, so I'm only reviewing it so that I can report it. If you're the type that just got to see people get shot and killed, you can go watch Faces of Death yourself. But here they're going to talk to the store owner.
Did you see what looked like Alton to be reaching for his gun?
No, not at all.
Did you hear him say, I'm going for my gun? Or did you hear him threaten the officers?
Not at all. Not while he was standing up, nor while he was bent down.
Did you hear the officers mention his gun?
I heard an officer scream out, gun, and that's when, right after, they started shooting.
They shot him more than once. We believe it's 4 times at this point. There's also a separation between the shots.
6. See, he corrected
6 times.
He was there.
Obviously,
you can
we're still
hear it.
waiting
Very
for
clear.
information to come out from the police about this. But we believe that there was a pause in the shooting. Do you remember there being a pause in the shooting before more shots were fired?
Yes. Yes. First, they shot 3 times while they were still on top of him. And they jumped off of him and screamed at him, get on the ground, which he was already on the ground and shot at the time. And then they released another 3 shots at him.
Did you see Alton do anything that would have made the officers feel that he was making a move at that point?
I don't think so. The gun was never visible at any point, and he was pinned down on his back.
Did you hear the officers say anything to explain? What were they saying to each other after this happened?
One officer called in shots fired. I remember hearing at one point that one of the other officers saying, "Just leave him laying there."
You hear that? Now I might let this one last one play, and we're gonna go back into a couple of things. Okay, they're saying once again, disturbing images, and I think they're gonna just play it again. Yeah, he's got a gun. It's got captions on this one. Sitting on top of him. Then one guy rolls on top of him.
The deadly confrontation between 2 white police officers and a black man on the streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, started with a 911 call just after midnight on Tuesday.
Suspicious code 2 at 2100 Alfonso across the battlefield. Selling cities on the corner. Gun in his pocket. He pulled the gun on a complainant and told him he couldn't be around there.
Cell phone video shot by a bystander outside the Triple S Food Mart shows the struggle between the officers and Alton Sterling. Witnesses say the officers first tried to use a stun gun against the 37-year-old. He's then pinned against a car and wrestled to the ground. Someone shouts, "He's got a gun." With Sterling on his back, one officer pulls his gun and aims it at Sterling's chest.
I think
Sterling,
the one that shot him is the one
on the
that
street. Known as the CD Man, he sold CDs and DVDs outside the store. Abdullah Muflahi, the store's owner, says he knew Sterling for 6 years, and the two were joking around minutes before the shooting.
After they shot him and got off, his hand was on the side of him. There was no gun in his hand. After the cop went inside his pocket and pulled it out.
As word of the shooting spread, outrage grew on the streets.
Hands up! Don't shoot! This is a good person. What? For what?
Everybody loved him. He never caused any problems with anybody.
At a press conference, 15-year-old Cameron Sterling was inconsolable as his mother remembered Alton Sterling.
The individuals involved in his murder took away a man with children who depended upon their daddy on a daily basis.
A preliminary autopsy shows Sterling died from multiple gunshot wounds to the chest and back. The 2 officers involved have been placed on administrative leave. One was involved in another shooting incident in 2014 and later cleared of wrongdoing. Louisiana's governor turned over the investigation to the Justice Department and the FBI.
Certainly the footage that I observed of the video that was made available, I have very serious concerns. The video is disturbing, to say the least.
I'm going to cut it there because it's going to keep playing. But we got enough information, I think, don't you think? Where, oh my goodness. The young man, 15 years old, his son, is going to have to live with. See, this we're living in a new age right now, which is the only reason why we're still talking about it. Because how many times have you heard black folks saying, oh man, they killed my friend? Well, anybody who lives in the black community. And whenever it gets out and even black folks were saying, yeah, right. Anybody who knows and study, I believe it was Ida B. Wells, she said herself, you hear about black men getting lynched all the time. You're like, maybe they did do what they say. Maybe they did rape a white woman. Until these 2 individuals were people she knew personally and knew their whereabouts. And they were like store owners and things like that. And whenever you had owned property and stores, you were very prosperous. The local white males in that area could just set you up and kill you and say you raped some white woman. And that's what happened to 2 friends of hers who she knew they weren't where the cops or the the mob said that they were, and they basically lynched. And I'm tired of using like little cutesy words, lynch. They hung black men up until they were strangled to death, and then burned these men alive. And I want to say they took their stores from them, whatever property they owned and stuff like that, which was the real reason why they were killed. So that's why she went on a crusade. I'm bringing her name up because even in the black community, before there was any videos, you always heard about, yeah, they killed my cousin for no reason. You like, he probably was doing something, mess with those good cops. You know what I'm saying? Even though you know, you want to believe it, but there is just no evidence. There's only a couple of people there, maybe some so-called bad children that could have been doing graffiti, throwing rocks, people's windows or something, or even gang bangers and stuff like that, where they actually killed themselves, you know, and beat each other up. Back in the day, they were just beating each other up. But when they'd be the ones that's telling you, as dope man saying, well, cops, they take our money all the time. And you're like, the cops ain't doing that. How can I trust you? Then even though you're thinking, okay, well, the cops, they risking their lives, they're in this neighborhood and, if some money's right there, yeah, they might take your money. You shouldn't be selling drugs anyway. Problem now, there's women always been saying, especially prostitutes, saying that they're getting raped by cops. People who aren't even dope men, just men who, if you got a little bit too much cash on you, you might be a so-called rapper, you could be a jazz artist for all they care. You just a dumb N-word who don't deserve the money, and they will take it. We've heard those things all of our lives. The problem for cops now is people got video. Even if the victim themselves aren't filming at the time, it's a bystander who usually, my father taught me this, when somebody gets pulled over, you pull away, and by law you have to stand 50 feet away. But in the 70s, he would say they were all just pull over on the other side of the road and sit there and watch to make sure that person got treated fairly. If it is a tail light out, like we're going to talk about in this next video, which I know you are hearing about it, and it's sad that we have to talk about two killings so close together. And of course, I will be referring back to blacks killing blacks and stuff like that. We're going to talk about all of it because it's still connected. You just don't know it yet. The thing is, you have to, as a community, number one, we're supposed to be policing ourselves. That's number one. And I talked earlier about when cops come into different communities, you have to remember that there are different social clues that you don't get. There are different context clues with even body movements that you don't get because, number one, you don't really like the people that you're serving, so you shouldn't be there. When a white cop is in a black neighborhood and he knows he's in a black neighborhood, when he's in the Hispanic neighborhood, he tries to learn the language, even for a couple of phrases. You see them playing with the children. That's not the cop that's killing these black folks. The one that's there that comes back and you can hear them, they get on Facebook, they get on Twitter, and they make videos saying, I got to go play with the monkeys today. I got to go to the zoo today. Those are the ones killing black folks. They're the ones that's killing Samoans. Those are the ones that are killing Asian people. Those are the ones that are killing whatever, anybody not white looking like them. When they go into their communities, they get in their car, they clock in, and they drive somewhere in a whole different neighborhood that they can't stand. Those are the cops that's going to rape the women there. Like that one guy looked like he was an Asian cop that raped 13 women, and women have constantly been saying it. They've been saying we're getting raped by this guy. He had the nerve to be crying when he got that sentence. But it goes on, and he only did it to women in those communities because, and he said it himself, who's going to believe it? This is a cop. This is recent news, like a month ago. He said it in his own words. He only did those women because, nobody's going to believe him. That's not me saying this. That's not another black person saying it. This is a cop who is convicted of raping women. Pull him over. What you got? I just watched one where it looked like a Hispanic one, but she looked white because, Hispanic is just mean Spanish speaking. She was done this way in court. You can see that video. I forgot her name, but I just saw it because, when these things come up, I have to go and do some research, and it keeps linking to other videos. And I don't want to go off on a tangent. The things I want to talk about with this particular case. Why did the cop who shot him 3 times first and rolled over on top of him and shot him 3 more times, say, get on the ground. Why do you think he did that? When we're going back to training, now once again, I'm not saying that every cop is bad, but there's enough of it that we need to talk about, and there's enough of it that policies need to be implemented, not from higher above, from those communities that are being victimized. Because I'm gonna have to quote other people who have this view also: there's no such thing as victim. If you allow people to keep doing you in, that's your fault. At a certain point, where are the black communities in your neighborhood? Where are the Hispanic leaders in your neighborhood to make sure this thing doesn't happen? Because you can keep marching. If that's all that's going to happen, get ready for the next one. Get ready for the next one. If all you can do is pray about it, I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. If that's all you can do, is God's going to say, let the shit keep happening until you get it. If the most that you can do is complain and think you can vote your way out of it, it's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening. Because all you have to do is ask yourself. Don't say that I'm racist and I'm coming up with all these military things. I just simply tell white people and I tell black people, what do you think would happen if there was just 2 incidences back to back, or it could be one year and one of another year, of a black cop, number 1, raping a white girl? I'm talking about one black cop. Number 2, one black cop shooting an unarmed youth. Then another black cop. Now, let's say just one incident of any one of these, not even all of those incidents. Just pick just one of a black cop shooting an unarmed, older, 60-year-old man, saying his light was out in the back of his car, and shooting him in his back. I'll tell you, if you want to be honest, if you really do keep up with stuff like this, and I haven't been making a lot of these videos because they just take so much out of me. I like to talk about when we were graduating from college at the age of 14 and 13. That elates me, and that's something I would like to share. But we have to talk about these things because I have to get on the black community and the Spanish-speaking community for addressing your children like thugs, whatever the caricature of a thug is for that particular time period. Now, I used to let my hair grow very long until I started seeing the so-called more uncivilized aspects of our community doing it, and I no longer could because it made me look like them. Now, there's a way to do it where you still look clean cut and very professional, but if I'm not going to be in suits and dressed in a certain way, I look just like the undesirables, the people coming from places of ill repute in our particular neighborhood. And I just can't do that as a conscious black man. So it no longer had the same cultural effect like a Samson in the Bible, or from what our native brothers that would tell you that their power is in their hair. I no longer could do that because it linked you to the dredges of our particular society, to be honest. And when you see that, you must be aware of that until you start policing yourself. Number 2, I have a son that's 14 years old, and I must teach him when he's walking around, he wears hoodies. He doesn't put the hood over on him, but he's wearing a hoodie with the hood going backwards so you can see his face. But still, they don't know he's like me, super nerdy, geeky, and he won't even play sports. He don't want to do nothing but read. He loves books. He loves to read and play video games and get online and studying and kicking it with his friends. Most of his friends are European here in this small town we're in. You'll never see him hanging out with thugs. He will never be drinking alcohol and all this stuff. And you can say, everybody says about their children. I believe in spying on your children. I go through my son's phone. I'm in his room right now. He can play this keyboard. I know every single book he has in here. And when he doesn't know, I can go right in on his computer because I want to see what he's into. There's nothing going through my child's mind that I don't know because I'm his father. There's nothing off limits. If you don't know what your son's doing, you're not a good mama and you're not a good father. You don't know what your daughter's doing online, that's on you. You stupid. If you believe that that's a invasion of their privacy, they don't need to have a phone then. You need to shock their ass every now and then. What about website blah blah blah? What? I never heard of that. Oh, you were just on it. You know what I'm saying? Bust their ass out and you let them know there's nothing you can do, son and daughter, on this planet that I'm not going to know about. When you go over there, I will track their phone because I'm a good father. But at the same time, it's not about just shocking and scaring. It's about letting them know you have to be accountable to me. And as you get older, you're going to be accountable to yourself and to your family and your society at large. And you have to understand. See, a lot of people don't want to tell. That's the only reason I'm doing these videos again. We don't want to tell our children, and we don't want to tell other blacks. We don't like to have this conversation and basically be able to say that, yeah, there's a target on black people. See, I'm an intelligent man. I can read. I go to Kidiobia Wadu, libradio.com, and sit there years ago while we do the book study of the book, The Negro Problem. What is the Negro problem? The Negro problem is all these black folks were snatched from Africa and brought over here to build a society. All the iron workers, the people who knew how to find gold and diamonds, to come over here and find them. You know what I'm saying? What does it look like where gold is? Plant all those crops you planted over here, make them happen over here. All of those cattle you're growing over there, I need you to do that over here. Or I'm going to blow your mama's brains out. I'm going to blow your daughter's brains out. Your son, me and my homosexual homies, we're going to rape your children. So, of course, you're going to build a White House for them. You're going to build a state capitol for them. You're going to show them everything you know about ironwork. You're going to show them everything you know about masonry. You can go to New York, and a lot of people don't know because these are things I like to talk about, but this is the news that we keep getting shoved down our throat about black folks getting killed. But look at this, he had a gun. He's selling bootleg DVDs and CDs. He got gold teeth, you know what I'm saying? But there's a black secret society of Masons whose bodies were uncovered. If you go all over New York, we always talk about down south, but up in New York, we forget these are some of the first places that black folks were snatched from Africa. And they weren't just snatched because we can stand up in the sun longer. Now, why am I talking about this? This is the Negro problem. They needed us at a certain point to build. But once you teach everything you know, there's no need for you. Then after that, they needed the production, the physical production. Now, it's fun to say we just needed black folks because they can work hard in the sun. They don't have any brains, so we just tell them mush, mush, mush. No. We knew how to grow those crops. And we had to pick it. We knew when to pick them. We knew when to plant. The European didn't. They asked us, what can I do to make this crop grow more? Then we get cool brothers who will sit back and say, oh, man, it's too much hard-ass work. Let me invent something like a cotton gin to make this shit go a lot faster. A lot of the agricultural machines were invented by black men and women to make the work easier for us, because we sit back and be like, hold up. They keep doing this same, they keep trying to, hold up, dog. Hold up. I know. You want to get this shit done. You try to make some money. How about you do it like this? Just hold up. Put these two things together. Make this. And it's going to be like 100 of us. A lot of us are probably thinking that they won't need us anymore. That wasn't the case. They just found something else for us to do. Okay, since you smart, you sit your ass over there, you're going to keep inventing shit. You over there, you're going to get over there and learn this new machine. That's what kept happening to us. Now we're at the point. They got enough inventors still here. They've got enough scientists still here. And they have enough who learn from us to keep doing things on their own. The Negro problem is what to do with all of these Africans. Who, yeah, we got them not knowing they're African anymore. They're African American. They're black. They don't even have a cohesive knowledge of we're blacks, all of us in America. I'm from Chi-Town. I'm from the South Side. I'm from the Wild Wild West. I'm from East Boogie, East St. Louis. I'm from North Side St. Louis. And you get all this ignorant stuff. We got them like that, and there's still too many of them. Even though we got them dumb, they're killing themselves now. It's just not fast enough. They eating themselves to death. They die before anybody else from eating bull crap. It's not fast enough. They killing each other at alarming rates. But when you add it up, even though we're talking about it, 1,000 is a lot. In Chicago right now, I think we're up to what, 300 or 500 killed this year. And my fault, across the country that might have been killed by police. But killing themselves is up there. But even when you look at millions of black folks and looking up the percentage that are killed, it's not fast enough. Okay, the fake AIDS wasn't working as well. They still get suckers believing that. They're going to take the drugs for it. The diabetes, they still got a lot on that. And they feel like they can't cure themselves and it's just in their genes. They get a lot of people from that. But that's so slow. They're going to make some money off before they go. Cigarettes doing pretty well. That's a slow one. It's a problem. The Negro problem is all about when they polled white people and said, what should we do with all these blacks that we don't need anymore? If you don't know this book, you don't know anything about this subject. So when you're thinking about Black Lives Matter and all this, no matter what side you're on, if you don't know policy of the United States in reference to the black American, and let's say that's too much for you. See, it's more fun then for you to talk about the Native American then. Because you're not afraid of the Native. They still here and they will kick your ass too. It's just you have appeased a certain amount through money, land, casinos and stuff like that. And you're saying, okay, y'all just stay over there. Do your thing over there. The government is still right there though to make sure they don't take this whole nation back and that their numbers stay low. They're doing the same thing with the black folks, but they got to do it a different way because the culture's different. So they poll white folks and say, what do you think we need to do if we just totally exterminate all of them? Some of them, of course, like, yeah, let's do that. Most whites, they found out from this book, it was, I think it's by Joel Cocken. It's called The Negro Problem, the Dilemma, the Negro Dilemma. America's Negro Problem or something like that. Look, just Google it. You'll know the book I'm talking about. But in that book, they wanted to see what America, because they were trying to figure out how can we get rid of all these black folks as fast as possible. But first we have to do it in a way. This is what they found out. The whole book is basically telling you what they found out. They found out that whites are okay with the extermination of black people in this country as long as it's done in a way that doesn't make them feel guilty. For anybody that's trying to figure out what's the problem in the black community and all that type of stuff, go read the book. It's not written by white folks. Cocken sounds like it might be a Jewish guy or something, a so-called European Jew. The Negro Problem. This might have been written in the 30s, maybe, something like that. And then it was brought up and revisited again in the 60s. It was some idea from the 30s, but the actual book, I don't remember if it was written in the 60s and the 60s or the 30s. But I know for sure in the 60s, it was brought back out and revisited and they re-polled white Americans. And it's still the same. As long as it's done in a way that white folks aren't guilty about it. So black on black crime, even though whites kill whites and black kills black, Asians kill Asians, Native Americans kill Native Americans, because that's the person you see. Nobody's saying there's this problem with white men killing their wives. There's a problem with white women drowning their children. It happens, and it happens enough to where we can talk about it, but it's just not as fun as talking about that black guy with that strut, pants sagging, tats on his face, long hair. He looks so crazy that the caricature of killing yourself, he's got to be the spokesperson for that. Even though his numbers don't equate with death by doctor, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't equate with death by eating yourself to death. It doesn't equate with smoking yourself to death and drinking yourself to death. That one is just more the gotcha stigma that it represents is enough to pass policies. It's enough to run up the rates and the cost of property values to show people, do you want to stay next to them? Those monkeys, those killers. They keep putting out this music, the most vile, crazy stuff you can imagine. It makes you forget about the white boy in his house talking about, and I've heard this music myself because I was into rock back in the day in high school. But and I heard there's a lot of stuff, you know, when they started getting into that grunge stuff. Like a lot of people don't know, Beastie Boys, I think, was a grunge band at first. Till Rick Rubin or somebody, you know, hooked them up and changed that style with them cold ass beats. But you got to research that stuff to know, you know, what's going on. There is a mental manipulation, mass media indoctrination to control the black community, to where they're always going to victimize themselves, to kill themselves. The music has to be stupid. It's going to be rump shaking. It's going to be take your gal, and once I take your gal, I'm going to dump her and give her back to you because I really don't love them hoes like that. If you really want to, you know, get women, you got to have this money because they ain't nothing but whores and tricks and B-words and all that type of stuff. Get this money, get this paper by any means necessary. Me and my crew will go up in your house and take you and your money and your wife and your daughter and kill all the rest of you. That's our music, so-called black music. So even when I hear people saying they keep appropriating our music and using it in commercials, I don't claim a lot of that crap. I grew up on it. I'm coming out of school in 91. All the wackest, craziest lyrics I will still listen to now, but my children can't listen to it. I listen to it through the metaphysical science of being able to use it as a conduit going back in time, because when you listen to certain tunes, it takes you back to that period. That's the most it can do. And me and somebody else from that time period, we can talk about it, but I have to stop them after that moment that they start talking about the new rap, but hip-hop was different. Bullshit. Whack, 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 dumb shit. If we really look at the lyrics, were we building nations or what? Because the things that built nations were taken out the box. Now, if you talk about X-Clan, you talk about Parrish, The Devil Made Me Do It, you talk about Public Enemy, you'll remember the things that were taken out. Because when people talk about, you know, hip-hop, a lot of times they're not talking about that. They're talking about that fun, dancing, the bridges over type stuff. You know what I'm saying? But even KRS-One had stuff, you know, talking about the gun and violence and, you know, we'll outdo y'all and, you know, our side, our borough is better than that borough. They was getting onto that dumb shit too. Because that's what sold. They were poor black youth. And white Jews would come up and say, what if I give you $1 million to speak your mind? Hell yeah! If you went to a poor white youth and say that, why wouldn't they do it? It's easy to say they gotta stop these rappers. Stop talking dumb. You take a little boy with no daddy, even if he does have a daddy, but they're poor, and say, I'm gonna give you $1 million to just speak your mind. But you sort of show him through mental science, I don't want to hear that black shit. I don't want to hear uplifting the community and love my mama. I might let you slip out a love my mama song, but I want to hear black women are whores. I want to hear the N-words ain't shit but hoes and tricks. I want to hear you better be killing somebody. You better be talking about taking somebody gal. And you better be talking about basically y'all need to do this too. You keep doing that to these beats, I'll let you use this multi-million-dollar sound system to create bullshit kindergarten lyrics of dumb shit, and you're gonna get that money. Now I'm gonna take it all back after a while, because after you no longer can keep making that money and you're no longer relevant to the people we're trying to program, then I'm gonna show you in the contract that you owe me more than you even made, and the little cards you got, we're gonna take that back And after I take everything back and say, well, you can't owe me, you still owe me 5 more albums, so let's just call it quits. If you ever make another album, because now you a grown man, you figured out the game. If you make any album using that name, you're going to find out I own that name. They find out the game and they're like, damn. All these artists from the 90s broke, weeded out, smoked out, drunk out. Now, why am I talking about this? It's a plan. Why am I talking about this? It's a plan. So all the people, conspiracy theories and everything, a conspiracy is a real crime. Orchestrated by more than one party, usually more than 2. That's a conspiracy. People conspire to commit crimes against black people every day, and they have to do it. You got to be the dumbest in school, because if you were the smartest, you'll take your community back. And if you add up the billions a year that black people spend, you're going to put people out of business. If your women really get smart and stop buying that fake hair, and really, shoot, let's say you really want to keep buying that crap. Let's say if you were smart enough to understand that these are black women we buying this hair from southern India, who live in poor. I'll make them rich, and we'll take whole tribe. Black women over here can save whole tribes of Tamil men and women, because you would care less if it's a female's hair or a man's hair. They got men whose hair grow down to the ground too. Super dirt poor, and that's the only way they can even eat. A woman who's been growing her hair for her whole life might get, I don't know, I'm gonna guess, $20, I don't know, something ridiculous. And you pay hundreds over here. You can't get on the phone and get your minds together. And I'm talking about the goofiest, silliest black women, uneducated, can get together and say, where do our hair come from? Hey girl, get on the internet and find out how we can communicate and buy it from them ourselves and negotiate. You cut off all your hair and mail it to me. We'll get somebody over here to sew it together and put it all together. Cut out the Korean. That doesn't mean I don't have Korean friends. That's wrong to say. That's what a Korean would do. If their people had that problem of wanting hair from somebody else, they're not going to pay another culture to do that. So since you don't do things like that, is what I'm trying to tell you, you're not a victim. Black people taught me, my own parents taught me, find a food, use a food. It's a thing that's going around the black community. If you don't know it, you lying, or you need to talk to your mom and dad about it. But you can't have the idea of find a food, use a food, then when you find out your ass is the food, you can't be mad. The black community is the food. They're supposed to keep killing your children because you keep allowing people who don't really give a shit about you to come into your community and do what they want. So when you walk up on the scene as the DVD man, there ain't no black cops shooting him. Number one, they know who he is already. They probably already know who the bum is, and I'm gonna call him a bum because you called the police on somebody you was harassing, who told you to leave him alone. You got on your phone and called the police. I wanna hear an interview with that guy. Of course, it's all free will. Yes, the guy was selling bootleg movies. Shouldn't have died. Yeah, the guy had a gun charge back in the day. Sound like he went to prison for it, for his drug addiction to marijuana, which I'm guessing what it was. He got out early on good behavior, so that means he probably did 3 years or something like that, maybe 2.5. Had to clean up the community, do some PSAs or whatever. Now he's back out. Now he's selling bootleg movies and got another gun. So he's probably not registered to have it. That's wrong, but he shouldn't have died. But they have us mentally. We're not strong enough yet to say, you know what, thanks guys, but we're gonna take care of our own community now. If y'all don't have enough cops to send over here that look like us, speak our language, the Hispanic community's been doing that because they went through the same thing, and they say you're gonna send over somebody over here that's Mexican. You're gonna send some Puerto Ricans and Dominicans over here. The Samoan community, we need to have Samoan cops. We're gonna get some Tagalog speakers over here. We need some more Filipino cops over here. If y'all gonna be policing this area, calling us the N-word and stuff, we're not even from here. You know what I'm saying? You calling us Mexican? We Filipino food. I've seen that with my own eyes. And they say, well, we need some more cops to represent us up in here. We don't want y'all cops up in here. The black community has to grow up and become men and women and do that same thing too. This is not a fight against the police and everything like that. It's about being men and women. You can't pray your way out of this one. You can't vote your way out of this one. You most definitely can't just keep marching your way out of this. That movie Selma was one of the worst and horrible movies I ever seen in my life. I felt bad taking my children. I didn't take them, but I think their school went and I went with them. It was just none but ass whoopings all through that damn movie. I'm sitting up there having to watch grown women, people's grandmamas getting busted in the head with billy clubs all through the damn movie. You can't march your way out of this, people. People tried it and it didn't work. You have to stand up as men and women and say, you know what? Everybody up to this point that y'all shoot, we're going to get justice for it. What y'all going to do? Don't even worry about it. You're going to see. But from this point on, we're going to take it upon ourselves. You want us to pull ourselves up by the bootstrap? We're going to handle this. So I'm going to conclude this video. These are my views. This is why it keeps happening to us, because we won't police ourselves. Also, people don't respect the black community, because when you do shoot yourselves, you keep giving them excuses. You keep giving them somewhere they can say, look at you shooting yourselves. Because you haven't set up something to where you say, because you got this snitching thing, which I get it. That ain't us saying that. That's those plants in our neighborhoods, which, what's he talking about? Freedom of information, man. We know the government's been in our community. We know the government came in and took out Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. What are we talking about? Freedom of information shows us that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has people who was Malcolm X's bodyguard, was an agent. We know that now. This ain't me, this ain't YouTube. This is you pick up a book and read the files. His personal bodyguard was a government agent. Government agents were there when Martin Luther King was killed. The Black Panthers, which were children, trying to get a stoplight because children kept getting hit at a certain intersection. So they said, we're going to be the human stoplight. Then they started helping people get food. The WIC program comes from these children, these young black men who grew up into men. The WIC program and like the SNAP program and stuff like that comes from them. They created that. There's now a federal program to help all women, infants, and children. That's what WIC stands for. That's coming from the Black Panthers. Also, at the end, yes, they said we need to start arming ourselves because cops keep killing us. The federal government had to come in. Once again, why do I make these videos? Why do people say, why is this happening? Black lives matter. Black people killing themselves. The federal government had to come in and say, we can't allow black people to arm themselves and save themselves from us, because that makes it hard for us when we find out that their real estate is real estate that we want at that particular time. We need a system set up to where we can say, hey, look at them, look at all that crime. We're gonna just tear these buildings down and just take that whole neighborhood. Then we're gonna build big condos there. It's not our fault they can't afford them. See, you can't do that when people police themselves and educate themselves and feed themselves. They're gonna be too intelligent. You just can't do it. You gotta have them crime ridden. You gotta make sure their music is either on the gospel end. I know a lot of people don't get this part because it really you think you're really singing to God, but if in none of your songs you're asking God to bless the black community, and I say the black community because when you read the Bible, it's okay to say the Jewish community, the Hebrew community, the Israel. You know what I'm saying? You can say a city, you can say a genetic people, but if you can't say God, please bless whatever song, all these songwriters, if you've never said, bless the black family. Now, of course, you can sing family all across the land, of course, but your family in particular needs a lot more help than other families. Your neighborhood in particular needs a little bit more help, and your prayers don't come out and say, God, please bless the black family. Please give us the energy by which we can police ourselves. That's something that Jesus will be for. That's the type of stuff that Jesus will get out and fight for. Please give us the strength to make sure our women aren't prostitutes. And when we do find them, we're going to take them off the street and give them a real job. Please let us train our men to be soldiers for our community, to keep crime off the street by taking them off the street, feeding them, and giving them legitimate jobs and education. Oh God, may we do that, Jesus. Oh, what? I'm not a songwriter. I can write a good song now. But since that's not the case, the same industry that controls the so-called hip-hop decadent music, if you really do your research, they own the rights to gospel music. You didn't know that? Sony's still Sony. Same company. They can make a movie over here, uplifting one community, then they make a movie over here, downgrading us. Then they make music over here that's so-called gospel music. Then they make music over here that's the decadent music that a person coming out of church has to hear blasting going up and down the street before they go in and listen to the gospel music. That's called intelligence. That's called war. When somebody outside your community can set up a situation where they control whatever you decide to do. Because when your butt gets out of that church, you go back to that same hip-hop, drug culture, prostitute culture environment. Because you haven't figured out a way to really tap into the real creator and make heaven on earth in your own neighborhood. That's why I make these videos. That's why I still talk about these particular events. That's why I got to go and even talk about this next event where a brother was sitting in his car when the felonious made up your tail light is out. They got him with that again. And this beautiful black woman and her beautiful black daughter had to witness this man be killed who said, sir, I'm letting you know I got a gun. And this guy, no felony charges, never been in jail for anything. He got a good job. He's not selling bootleg DVDs. Just in case y'all going to use that to make this other guy have a smear campaign for this other guy. This guy we're about to talk about in this next video, real job, but he got that long hair, scaring white people. The guy says, I need to see your license registration. Dude tell him, okay, I'm reaching for it. I'm letting you know I'm armed and I got license to carry. You think he was about to shoot his way out of a traffic stop? No. Got a 4-year-old with him. He's a person with a job. Just last talking with his uncle about retirement and stuff like that. Black woman right here watching the whole thing. My God. In terms of people, and I'm going to end it right here because I'm going to go into that in this next video. But I just have to say this on hers. For people that like to talk about, it's the way you acted. This woman was so damn calm. That's when we can bring out the gospel. Bless her heart. She sat there and recorded while her man was killed in front of a 4-year-old baby girl. And they don't mind shooting in the cars with our babies in it. They don't give a shit. That's why I'm making these videos. Yes, there's a lot of good cops. I know them personally because I'm at the age I grew up with people who become cops. White, black. I know a white girl right now. I think she was going to be a DA agent or something like that. I think she's just a regular cop, or she might be state patrol. Another brother, black male. He's went to the military and he was doing something big. He was like one of them special op guys he's a state trooper. I know another brother who's a state trooper. I know a couple of East St. Louis police officers I grew up with. These are children I played with that are cops now. I love these guys. I don't want anything to happen to them. These are people I know they will help you. And I know Spanish speakers, Asians that are cops, or military people. And I know a lot of assholes. And you got to talk, and we have to do videos about this because people in our neighborhoods who don't give a shit about our neighborhoods should not be working in our neighborhoods with guns. Let them put some cable in or something. Let them work for some cable provider or the telephone company where they can come in our community and get up out of there. That's if they even doing that. If you do not respect the people, and I've seen that when I worked AT&T. White guys I worked with, when they had to work in the so-called hood area, and I'm talking about areas not even really hood, project areas, if it was a black client, they would do the install sloppy. They wouldn't go that extra mile because they really just don't care. A pretty white woman, they will stay a little bit longer. It'll mess up their quality points because, you know, we're supposed to get the install done and it's timely, fast, and I'm going to end it right here. But I'm showing you racism exists. And the way that a culture sees you, if they are given any type of power, even AT&T installing cable, or even working at an Aldi's, you know what I'm saying? Am I going to... bag their groceries. I mean, whatever. I know you don't bag groceries in all these, but you know what I'm saying? No matter what little power, racism has to do with if you can't stand another group of people, I don't care if it's because of language, skin tone, whatever the case, when you hate another race enough to where you will use your position to not hire, even if y'all all work there, they give only their own good hours. They give you the shitty hours. They take your lunch away and may give it to somebody else. They might make you do the more dangerous work. Those are the things that happen. That's even because if you can believe nepotism happens in the white community, but racism can't. You've seen people only hire their own. You white, and they won't hire you. They're going to hire their brothers, sisters, and stuff like that. So you know people think like this. How come you believe magically the same people that you know use nepotism against you, they do the N-word jokes in front of you. They do the Asian jokes in front of you. They do the Hispanic jokes in front of you. They tell you they can't stand those cultures. They wish they could just all die. When you give that person a gun, magically you don't see them shooting somebody. Magically you don't get when they lie and say that I think he was reaching for something. That's what I was supposed to get into this movie. I mean this video. I'm sorry, but it's just too much to talk about in one little video. It's too much to talk about in a very detailed way because there's so many videos you can go to right now and watch it if you really wanted to believe it. So I'm talking really to people who constantly trying to tell white Americans, y'all just don't understand. They're not trying to understand. Then I tell you, go read the book. That's for you to know that you're the target. Stop trying to tell people that don't like you, y'all don't like us. You know how dumb that is? Y'all think y'all trying to kill us. What they supposed to say? You know what? You're right. My dad's a cop and he can't stand y'all. See, y'all waiting for that video to come out. Y'all waiting for Obama to say, you know what? I'm really not an African American for real. I'm going to talk to you like us Africans really do. Y'all Akatas ain't shit. We think y'all ass just fat for nothing and just don't work hard. Or he might be more white and say, you know what, I'm really not black and I'm going to talk to you like us other white guys, how we sit and joke about y'all. We about to get rid of all y'all Negroes. Don't let the wife and children fool you. Now, I'm just saying that people who know and feel that he probably isn't doing the most for our community, you're supposed to just know it. You're supposed to know he probably is a good guy, but when you become president, your job is not to do anything for black people. Because we all know they're going to vote Democrat no matter what. We can play the game. Y'all vote for him because he's black. No, if you really know black people, they voted because he was Democrat. You think they would have, if he was white, and there was I put it like this, if Obama said all the same things that he was said before he was elected the first time, but if he was a Republican, Hillary Clinton would have been president back then. That's a fact. Black people, and I'm saying all people, but black people in particular are programmed to be Democrat. White people are programmed to be Democrat if they don't have a lot of money. And white people that have a little money, at least a little money, it might be store owners, and they feel like they're getting taxed a little bit too much, and a lot of their loopholes are being taken away, they become Republican. So you're given two choices. You dumb on all sides, be you white or black. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not pointing the finger at everybody stupid who can't figure out that you're getting played on all sides, so that we can each keep. It's just that our lack of knowledge is more detrimental to our health than it is yours. Cops ain't just killing white folks like that. So I wanted to talk about, but you can see the video yourself. The guy lied, and as I read to you, they were lying as they were reading it because they didn't give you the facts. He was shot while he was already on the ground, and then the guy said, "Get on the ground," so that he can speak into his recorder that somehow fell off. Both the cops' video recorders got dislodged, as they say, in the struggle. But there's only one guy that was wrestling with him. From what I can see, from all of the different videos that we were able to see, it was one guy that ran up and tackled him and knocked him down. That was the guy that was sitting on him. The other guy, who might have been the other guy that shot him, didn't even do all of that. He bent down and was over him, and his camera shouldn't have come off unless he took it off. But for him to say, "Get down on the ground," after you know he was already down and after you already shot him, makes me think you had in your mind through training to, when you shoot, go ahead and say, because he didn't think about it. It looked stupid for anybody that was there for you to say, because you on the ground too with him, "Get on the ground." He's already been shot and he most likely ain't getting up. And you say, "Get on the ground." Were you trained to do that? Is the question I have. But this has been drained enough. I'm not going to labor this because we got to go talk about another killing. But please subscribe. If you agree with anything that I'm saying, let me know. If you're against anything what I'm saying, let me know. And if you come up with another point that I might have missed, I'll make another video. Or if it's something small, I'll just type and I'll respond pretty quickly. But just comment. I'm back on the scene. You're going to be seeing a lot of videos. But these things are things that we need to talk about, because anybody who really truly knows me, I was one of the best proponents for race relations and things like that. It's just I've gotten to the age where I know I understand now. I'm a little bit more acute as a grown man to know that no matter how much a lot of us may want race relations to happen and us to all have this nice Pangea again where we can all be separate groups but we work together for the good of mankind, I know and understand that would be detrimental to people in power. They can't have that, because if we were like that, you might have to actually pay for those diamonds in Africa. You might have to pay for that gold, top dollar. You know what I'm saying? But if you buy enough, we give it to you wholesale. That's still a little bit more than free though, ain't it? You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the oil in Nigeria and different parts of South America that nobody's talking about. This has been Professor Lorenzo McCoy. Another somber moment, but we have to talk about it. Comment, subscribe, share. See you soon.